Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of OHKO, and it seems on a bit of a Safari Zone theme at the moment, because the previous video I did was about Tauros. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back, and we're talking about Pinsir. Now, I called Tauros one of the most interesting and unique cards we've seen in a while. I stand by that assessment. What about Pinsir? Well, Pinsir's got something good, but lordy, it is risky. So, if we have a quick look, we have a basic grass Pokemon. That means Ether Paradise Conservation Area. Can give a little bit more bulk here. And of 120 HP, you're going to need it, because Pokemon like Zoroark and Buzzwole love coming against 120 HP Pokemon. The weakness to grass is largely irrelevant at the moment, because Blacephalon's going to one-hit KO you anyway. But time Flareon comes around, and I'm convinced Flareon's going to be amazing. That could be somewhat relevant. The retreat cost is high. Boo. And in terms of hitting for weakness, you're hitting weakness against Lycanroc, which remains one of the very best Pokemon in the entire game. There we go. So what does it actually do? Well, our translation here comes from the lovely David Hochmann. And apparently, for a double colorless energy, you get to do 30 damage, and your opponent cannot retreat their active Pokemon during their next turn. I know, right? This could be good. I've made no secret of my love for the old Gabite. This is one of those attacks that you can ignore. You win the game. The old Gabite with Sandtomb, I played it with the old Garchomp. I won more than one game by basically knowing that my opponent was out of switching cards and then just keeping something in the active that wasn't an offensive threat. And then they decked out and I won. I played a mirror match once, and with Garchomp having free retreat and Hawlucha, the other relevant Pokemon, having free retreat, in game one, I managed to eke out a quick win. I noticed my opponent was playing 0 switching cards. So what I did was I used Sandtomb against Hawlucha. It does 20 damage, but Hawlucha has a resistance. So I did 0 damage, but Hawlucha couldn't retreat. And Hawlucha's attack only did something against a Pokemon EX. And I said to my opponent, I am going to keep using Sandtomb until you deck out, because I knew they'd played more cards than I had. I said, we can play this out if you like so, and I'm more than happy to do so, but every single one of my turns is going to be announcing Sandtomb, and you're going to deck out before I do. He agreed. He scooped. And then we had a nice conversation. That is the kind of situation you can get into with these kind of cards. They can win you the game. The problem is, the format we're in at the moment is less friendly to these kind of strategies, because the best draw supporter, hands down, is Cynthia. But one of the runners-up is Tate and Liza, which also functions as a switch, which means that your opponent will have an option to get out the active. Even if they're not playing Tate and Liza, we've moved on from Lysander, which is quite convenient given that it rotated, and we've all moved on to Guzma. What is the difference between Lysander and Guzma? Guzma also functions as a switching card. You can't retreat, but you can switch. The other thing is we lost Floatstone. So pretty much all in one go, we lost Floatstone, the main way many of us retreated. We gained a gusting effect, or were forced to play a gusting effect, which was also a switch. And a lot of us ended up playing a draw card, which is also a switch. And herein lies the problem for this kind of attack. You end up in these situations where it's unlikely you're going to be able to get this to stick. Now, that's not to say it won't. There are going to be plenty of games where your opponent is going to be out of Guzma and out of Tate and Liza, and you can use this. And at the moment, we are in a situation where Dex lists are so prevalent on websites like LimitlessTCG.com that you are way more likely than you were in the past to be playing against a standard deck list and hence know exactly what they're playing. In which case, you can really get to grips with this and use it. But it is a niche attack, and it really is, make sure you know what's in your opponent's deck, wait till they've run out of switching cards, and then go for it and hope they deck out first. But then again, you could just use it to buy a turn or two to set up. But then again, it's for a double colorless energy Do you really want to use one of those to buy yourself a turn or two to set up? I'm not sure that you do. Good news is, ladies and gentlemen, we have a second attack here, and the second attack is way more interesting and exciting than the first one. Now, it is for a grass double colourless, which is a much more awkward attack cost. But you flip 2 coins. If both of them are heads, instant KO. Simple as that. Flip 2 coins. If both of them are heads, your opponent's active Pokemon is knocked out. Now, if even one of them is tails, that's not right. So you've essentially got a 25% chance of this working. That's not great. But if you remember that we've got the Victory Flip Victini from Guardians Rising, well, now all of a sudden you get to take that 25% chance twice. And now we're rolling. It's awkward that you need an extra energy here. We talked yesterday about the difficulty of accelerating grass energy, and there are ways to do it, but none of them are great. But what we have here is an attack which can single-handedly swing a game. I mean, if you're that worried, play an energy switch. It's all you need. 1 energy switch and a double colourless, and you're rolling. And the thing is, we're in a situation at the moment where we have Tag Team GXs. We looked just yesterday at Mimikyu and Gengar Tag Team GX, and it was another one of these that just looked really good. Several of them do. And if you're in a situation where you're against a Tag Team GX, okay, you've got a less than 50% chance of hitting this, but if you do hit it, you take 3 prizes and you're halfway to winning the game. That seems like a risk that with some decks, in some matchups, is going to be worth taking. Because it gets you halfway to literally winning the game. That's worth it. Let's say you're against a Magikarp and Wailord Tag Team GX. They've got 300 HP, you are just not getting the KO. Now, to be fair, if you're playing this, you're playing grass energy, which means you should be able to get a KO because they're weak to grass. But let's just follow the example through. Let's assume it's... Okay, let's go Eevee and Snorlax then, if you find that easier. Only 270 HP, but you're not definitely hitting them for weakness. These are giant Pokemon that you might just not be able to KO. Well, in comes Pinsir, flips the double heads, and you are off and rolling. I mean, the last time we really had a flipping double head scenario, which was seeing quite a bit of play, was Vanillux with double freeze. Now, you would also play that with Victini, although back then it was the old Victini. Same ability, just, older Victini. Got reprinted like 27 times, including weirdly as a full art for a random Pokemon that was arguably not deserving of it. But anyway, that's by the by. Double heads meant you did 80 plus paralysis, but double tails meant that you didn't get the paralysis. And there were plenty of times you would flip double tails and then double tails. We only need 1 double heads here, ladies and gentlemen. It is doable. And then, of course, you've got all these games with something like a Gardevoir, which builds up all of its energy, and you've got a stage 2 of a bunch of energy on, and you're like, ha ha ha, double heads, you're out of here, mate. There's a lot to like about this. Is it risky? You bet it's risky. The fact that it's for a grass double colourless is awkward. But the fact that you can get a 1-hit KO on literally anything, and the fact that we've got Tag Team GXs around at the moment that give up free prizes, mean that this is an intriguing attack that people are going to play around with. There is some potential. I'm giving it 3 Wassies because it's the kind of card you want to have in your binder. Leave it in your binder, you never know when you might have a deck, and look, chuck 1 copy in, it might be that you're in a game where you are just behind, and you've got nothing. But if you can flip double heads, maybe you've got a chance. So you have a go. It's better than just conceding the game, and it could give you an automatic win. That's what I think about Pinsir, ladies and gentlemen, but I think it's about time you told me what you think about Pinsir. So do let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, but please do remember the rule, ladies and gentlemen. Be nice, would ya? And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And while you're here, do check out youtube.com/WassyPlays. I would be delighted. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.